Hi, I'm Teresa Cyphert. I am retiring after 35 years here at CL. One of my favorites is when I taught kindergarten. We always had to walk up to the bathroom by the music room and would line up in the hallway. And one day, one of my little girls come out saying, Mrs. Cyphert, there was a boy in the girls' restroom. And I said, oh, honey, how did you know there was a boy in there? And she said, the toilet seat's up. And I said, the janitors clean. And I said, when they clean, they usually leave them up so they can dry. I said, just consider yourself lucky you got to use a clean toilet this morning. So the next day, we were doing the same routine using the restroom. And this little girl comes flying out, Mrs. Cyphert, a boy is using the girls' restroom. And anyway, the first little girl that I explained this to, she come flying out of the stall and said, let me tell you about that.
Favorite thing about being in Mrs. Cyphert's class was how she made me feel welcome. Congratulations, Mrs. Cyphert.
One thing I liked about being in Mrs. Cyphert's class was that she made learning fun. Thank you, Mrs. Cyphert.
When I worked in kindergarten, I just loved working with Mary Falk. I had worked with her for, I think, about 10 years. And I also loved working with Jess Craig. She's just, and I mentored her, so they were very near and dear to my heart, both of them. And and Debbie Say also, she taught whenever my husband was here. And I remember Debbie saying to me, one day, it was my first day in kindergarten, I was so disappointed because my shape lesson was a total flop. And she says, oh, that's okay. She says, you're teaching kindergarten and there's always another day. So don't get bent out of shape. It's kindergarten, you can do it again.
My favorite thing about being in Mrs. Cyphert's class was that she cared about all of her students. Thank you, Mrs. Cyphert.
Whenever I came to first grade, I was going through a very difficult time in my life, and my first grade colleagues were so wonderful to me. My mother had passed away, and it was during the COVID time, and they picked up everything that I needed to do, and I really, really appreciate all the support they gave me during that time. Mrs. Emmings, Mrs. Whitling, and Mrs. Shook, I really, really appreciate what you did for me. Thank you so much, and I love working with our team.
My favorite thing about Mrs. Cyphert's class is all the activities we did. Thank you, Mrs. Cyphert. My favorite thing about being in Mrs. Cyphert's class is how fun she made my kindergarten year. Thank you, Mrs. Cyphert.
I had your brother, Brady. I actually looped with his class from kindergarten to first grade. And we read this story in first grade. It was Franklin's Valentine. And in this story, Franklin loses his Valentines and they get ruined and he doesn't have any to give to his friends at the end of the day. And he was very sad. So the next day he decided he was going to make them friendship cards, because friendship day can be any day. And the next day your brother gave me this beautiful little picture of me, and I must have had a flower dress on because he has the flowers. I often wore a necklace, so I just really thought that was special. I have a number of teachers that I had when I went to school in the Shannon Valley. Mr. Solon, fourth grade, he was very instrumental in me becoming a teacher. He was very kind and very gentle in teaching, but he was also very knowledgeable and just enjoyed listening to him. He only talked at a whisper also, so you really had to listen. And Mrs. Thomas, my third grade teacher, she always dressed in such beautiful dresses, and she just always looked so beautiful, but she was also very kind to everyone, and she was very knowledgeable in teaching you to read. But I also have a teacher in second grade that I didn't care for, and I didn't feel like she, I don't know, she kind of made me feel dumb. And I didn't like that feeling. And so I thought to myself, if I ever become a teacher, I don't want to be like her. And I'll have that come into my brain if I feel like I'm giving a kid a hard time too much. It's like, no, you don't want to do that. That's not why you're here. The little ones, the hugs, the Mrs. Cyphert, look what I can do. hearing them read and knowing that you started them off with these sounds and letters and they put them together to read sentences and stories. And when they grab that first chapter book, oh, my heart, my heart, my heart. Yeah, it is very gratifying. The younger grades, for me, both kindergarten and first grade, is very gratifying, yeah, and how much they learn in such a short period of time. But the pictures and the cards and the flowers they pick and, you know, all of that, I'll really miss it. Be very flexible. You know, you're going to be under a lot of stress if you're not flexible, and that you make plans, but your plans will always change. It always happens all the time, and so you just need to be flexible. Also be very patient, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of people in a lot of variety of ways, be it parent, co-workers, students, administration, and you just have to be patient. I guess also, really, you have to understand that teaching's hard. Teaching's a hard job, and it takes a lot out of you. So get a lot of rest, eat well, exercise, you know, that kind of thing. You need to know that you're going to put a lot of extra hours in. It's at night, it's weekends, it's summers. You know, there's a lot of time put in. But you also need to make time for yourself. You have to do it all. You have to give yourself some time, and then you have to put the work in. And it's very gratifying. Once you start and you get into a routine and you understand what you need to do, it is very gratifying.
My favorite thing about being in Mrs. Cyphert's class was how she cared about us. I love you, Mrs. Cyphert.
I like how she was such a fun teacher. Thank you, Miss Cyphert.
Well, I hope that this is the part I knew I was going to cry, that they were loved and that I cared. And I put a lot of me into them.
Yeah, she's the nicest teacher I've ever had. A lot of memories. Congratulations, Mrs. Cyphert. Wish you the best.
I do want to say one thing real fast. I apologize to any child that was devastated by the fact that they got a blue or red crayon from me. Later in life, I realized how devastating those crayon moves were to you, especially to Dalton and to Ashley.
We love Mrs. Cyphert!
Hey, Teresa. A great big hug from your Mary. Congratulations on your retirement. You have spent many years as a dedicated and outstanding teacher for the Clary Limestone School District. You may find that retirement is just a bit bittersweet, but I do hope that you find that the best is yet to come. Love you, dear friend.
Her name was Teresa. She was a teacher, wearing CL shirts with flair, Penn State colors everywhere. She would teach T1, kindergarten and first grade. While she tried to teach the kids, she had to manage life with kids down on the first grade floor. It was Teresa plus 4. We had fun, we had each other. Who could ask for more at CL, Clary and Limestone? The finest spot east of Clary area at CL, Clary and Limestone. Teaching with passion is always in fashion here at CL. Teresa taught 32